Welcome to 11.4, Installment Buying. Opening an installment loan is a loan on which you can make variable payments each month, for example, credit cards or like a home equity line of credit. There's a minimum you have to pay, but you can pay more. Fixed installment loan is a loan on which you pay a fixed amount of money for a set number of payments, like a car loan, house loan, like a traditional house loan, I should say. Credit rating is a number assigned to a consumer that indicates the potential risk of loss or payment due to prior credit behavior of the individual. So this is really an important number. You hear about this all the time on TV, your credit number, your credit score, how to raise that. And really the best way to raise it is to make your payments and try to pay off credit cards. Annual percentage rate, APR, is the true rate of interest charged for a loan. Finance charge is the total amount of money the borrower must pay for the use of the financial institution's money. So the finance charge isn't the principal, not the stuff you're borrowing. It's the amount accrued from interest. So there are two ways to do this. The first way is this chart. And I'm not a big fan of the chart. We'll do it the chart way, then we'll do it a formula way. Now, the way this chart works is you have the interest rate across the top, and you have the number of months down this column. So for example 1, it says financing a new boat. Pablo Salanto purchased a new boat for $45,000. He paid 10% as a down payment and financed the balance of the purchase with a 60-month fixed installment loan with an APR of 6.5%. So we're looking at 60 months at 6.5%. So this is the number we're going to be looking at. Now, what is this number? This is the finance charge per $100 of amount financed. So the first question is, how much did he finance? Well, he did 10% down, so 10% of $45,000 is going to be 0.1 times 45,000 or $4,500. So the purchase was $45,000 minus $4,500. That's $40,500. So how many hundreds is this? How many hundreds is $40,500? $40,500 divided by 100 is 405. So the finance charge is going to be $405 hundreds times 1740 per hundred to give us $7,047. So this is the amount of interest he's going to pay on this loan. So that's the finance charge. Now for B, what are his payments? Well, he has to pay the $40,500 left to pay plus the $7,047. That brings us up to $47,547. That's the total he's going to pay over 60 months. So we do that. 47,547 divided by 60 is 792.45. So this is what his finance charge is going to be. Or sorry, this is what his monthly payment is going to be. Finance charge, monthly payment. That's a lot of money. $800 a month for a boat. Okay. Now, we're going to go on to talk about the formula for the installment payment. This is kind of cool. I've got to show this to you. So feel free to pause if you want to keep this on the board a little longer. Now this formula here, what's kind of cool about this, I got to take some credit here. I was an editor. They have asked college professors to look at a book and say, what would you change about it? This is one of the changes I recommended. So I don't know if it's just me or other people, but they put this change in the book. I'm really glad they put this in there because this is a really good formula to have. So we don't need that table anymore. Now the table works if it's on the whole numbers like 4%, 4.5%, 5%, 5.5%, and so on. What if it's 4.25%? And what if it's 3.25%? That's not on the chart either. So the way it works is your monthly payment M is the total amount you're borrowing, P, times the rate in decimal form over N, the number of payments per year, usually 12, divided by 1 minus the quantity 1 plus R, the rate in decimal form over N, to the power of negative N, the number of payments per year, times T, the number of years. So use the installment payment formula to determine Pablo's monthly payment. So in this, P is $40,500. T. Now it's 60 months at 12 payments per year, so 60 divided by 12 is 5 years. N is 12 times a year. R is 6.5%, which is 0.065. So our monthly payment's going to be $40,500 times 0.065 over 12 times a year divided by 1 minus 1 plus 0.065 over 12 to the negative of 12 times 5. Now in the calculator, you might, if you're using like a TI 30 series calculator instead of a TI graphing calculator, I say TI because I mostly use TIs. You're looking at 40,500 times, that's a times symbol, parenthesis, 0.065 divided by 12, close parenthesis, divide by, do a double parenthesis, 1 minus, parentheses. We may not need the double parenthesis. So I'll take one out. 1 minus 1 plus 0.065 divided by 12. Close that one. This part's getting raised to the power, parentheses, negative 12 times 5. Close that parenthesis. That takes care of this part. Close it again. That takes care of the whole denominator. And the result is, oh, you might not be too surprised to see this, 792.45. The same thing we had from that other, from the table. So I really like the formula. It's a much better way to do this problem. So you see the table, you see the formula, you can make a decision about what you like more. I'm going to go on to example 3, so feel free to pause if you want to keep that on the board a little longer. Of course, you can always print these notes out. What I have right here, I have made available to you. Okay, financing a used car. Jack wishes to purchase a used car that has a cash price of $12,000. The installment terms include a down payment of $3,000 and 48 monthly payments of $224. So what finance charge will Jack pay? Well, it was $12,000 and he paid $3,000 down. So he's borrowing $9,000. If you're doing 48 payments times $224, that would mean his total payments are going to be $10,752. Subtract out the $9,000 that he borrowed, and it's $1,752 is his finance charge. This is total of payments here. This is the amount borrowed. Okay. So the answer for A is $1,752. Now for B, what is the APR to the nearest half%? This is going back to the table. We couldn't really do this part in the formula. We could try. It's going to be a little complicated. So we're going to do this with the table. So the number of hundreds is what? Number of hundreds borrowed is 9,000 divided by 100 is 90 hundredths. We take that 1752, the finance charge, and divide that by 90, the number of hundreds. What do we get from this? 19.47, so that means he's paying 19.47 per 100, and this is on a 48-month loan. That's our finance charge. Per $100 borrowed. So now we go to the table. I don't know if we're going to be able to see the table very well with all this other stuff on the board, but let's just take a look. Okay. I have to go down a little more. So I'm going to probably have to erase some stuff here. So I'm going to put this back up like it was. If you want to, pause it now. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be paused. I'm going to scroll. I have to erase some things. So we're looking for 1947 on the 48-month part. 48-month, 1947 that's the closest, 1945, 19.45, and that corresponds to 9.0%. Okay, so we looked at 48 months, what was our finance charge per $100, and found it on the chart. And you can pause to get the rest of that if you want, otherwise I'm going to move on to example 4. It says Mr. and Mrs. Chan want to buy furniture that is a cash price of $3,450. On the installment plan they must pay 25% of the cash price as a down payment and make 6 monthly payments of $437. What finance charge will the Chans pay? Well, it's 100% minus 25% down means they're financing 75%, and that'd be 0.75. So 0.75 times 3450 is going to be $2,587.50. Now our total of payments is going to be 48 times 437. No, I'm sorry, not 48. Six of these. 6 times 437 is going to be 2622. So 2622 subtract 2587.50. We get 3450. So that's the finance charge. Then for part B, what is the APR to the nearest 0.5%? So we take our amount borrowed, our 2587.50. We divide that by 100 to get the number of hundreds borrowed, and that's going to be 25.875. So we're going to do our 3450, the finance charge, divided by the number of hundreds borrowed, 25.875. And that gives us 1.33. And this is the finance charge per $100 borrowed. This is the number we'll look up on the chart under the 6-month row. So let me go to that. Okay, we could probably leave this all up here. 6 months, 1.33. The closest we get is 1.32. And it's 4.5%. So feel free to pause. Get back to that problem there. That's the end of that problem. We're going to go on to talk about the actuarial method for paying something off early. So I'm going to erase this. Now, when you pay something off early, there are two methods used to determine the finance charge when you repay an installment loan early: actuarial method and the rule of 78. But the rule of 78 is no longer used. It used to be something I teach as well. I think 2 versions of this book ago we taught that. Had problems with that. The last version eliminated teaching it, but I still had the formula in here, and now it's gone completely. We just use the actuarial method. This is page 635 in your textbook. No. Formula is U, which is the unearned interest. You have to find out what is the unearned interest. So someone's not going to have to pay interest on the whole thing. So it's not like you just add up all the payments. You want to know what the balance is. N times P times V over 100 plus V. So N is our number of remaining monthly payments, excluding the current payment. P is the monthly payment. V is the value from the APR table that corresponds to the annual percentage rate for the number of remaining payments, not the original amount, number of remaining payments excluding the current payments. Early repayment using the actuarial method. Ray flagged took out a 60-month fixed installment loan. So originally it was 60 months of $12,000 to open a pet store. He paid no money down and began making monthly payments of $232. Ray's business does better than expected. Instead of making his 24th payment, Ray wishes to repay his loan in full. So first determine the APR of the installment loan. Then second, how much interest will Ray save? And what is the total amount due to pay off the loan? So the first question, let me see if I can scroll this up a little bit more just so I have a little more space. Okay. So $232 a month times 60 months is $13,920. That's a total of payments. If we do that 13,920, subtract off 12,000 that he borrowed, that means it's $1,920 he borrowed. So this is the finance charge. This is the amount financed. So if we take the 12,000, that's the amount financed, over 100 to find the hundreds that are borrowed, we get 120. This is the number of hundreds. If we take 1920, finance charge divided by the 120, the number of hundreds borrowed, we get 16. And this would be our finance charge per $100 borrowed. Or I should say financed. So from the chart, that's a 6% APR. I'm not going to go back to the chart, you guys. I hope we can see that by now. So part B says our U equals N times P times V over 100 plus V. Our N is going to be 60 months total minus the 24. because you subtract also the current payment he's going to make. So it's how many payments he's got left to make, not counting the current one. That's 36 payments. Our payment is $232. Now our V is going to be based on 36 months at the 6% that we just found out was going to be. It was originally 6%, so it's still 6%. So we get this from that chart. Now we're going to look, so that's a different V. I will look this up on the chart. I just hope we have enough space to see the whole thing. Not really. Maybe down here, even though we don't. Okay, so we're looking at 6%. It's right about here. So it looks like it's 16. 60 months, 6%, so 16 per 100. So with that, our V is, oh, went too far. V equals 16.00. No, I had that wrong. You go back up to the chart. It was 6%. It's not 60 months anymore, it's 36 months. That was a mistake on my part. Okay. Okay, it was 36 months that are left now at 6%, so it's 9.52. That's the number I should have gone with. Okay. So U would be equal to 36, the number of payments left, times 232, times our V is 9.52, divided by 100 plus 9.52. Remember your denominator, you should do that in parentheses because you're adding in the denominator. And that gives us $726. So this is the interest he'll save. So part C, he's got $232 a month times 36 months minus the $726 in interest he's going to save. That's going to be $7,626. That's the payoff. So that'd be payments 25 through 30 through 60. That's those payments, plus the 24th payment. Is going to be $78.52. This is what he needs to do to pay the whole thing off. So this is the other payments minus the interest from those payments plus the 24th payment gives us the total payoff. Feel free to pause that one. Now, open-end installment loan, be a loan like a credit card or a line of credit. I mentioned a home equity line of credit. That's when you get, it was real popular back before the housing crash. You can get, your house, you owe $200,000, it's worth $400,000. You can get a line of credit of maybe $100,000. And then you could just buy stuff. People bought boats and other things, cars, and they ended up, housing crashed, and we all know the story there. So there's no due date, just a minimum payment due, usually at least the interest, sometimes a little more than the interest. In a credit card scenario, there's no finance or interest charge if there's no previous balance due and if you pay the entire new balance by the payment due date. For cash advance, however, a finance charge is applied from the date you borrowed the money until you repay the loan. So this is an example of a credit card terms. For purchases, you may pay a daily rate of 0.04792. It's a daily rate, or an annual rate of 17.49%. Cash advance is 0.05477%. Annual rate of 19.99%. But these rates are going to be different with cards and dependent on your credit rating. If a bad credit rating, you may have a 30% interest rate. Okay, Brian Hickey uses his credit card in August to purchase the following college supplies: books for $425, year-long bus pass $175, food service meal ticket $450, season tickets to the basketball games for $125. On September 1st, he used $650 of his financial aid check to reduce the balance. The issuing bank charges 1.2% interest per month. That's a per month interest rate. And requires full payment within 36 months. Brian had a previous balance of $0 and he makes no other purchases with his card. What is the minimum payment due on September 1st? So for A, we have $425, $175, $450, $125. Adding this up, we get $1175. So the interest is going to be $1175 times 0.012 times 1 month. So this is that rate per month times 1 month is $14.10. Now, $1175 is what his balance is. If they're going with full payment within 36 months, we divide by 36. We get 32.64. So 32.64 plus 1410, it's going to be $46.74. And that would be the minimum payment due. For B, it says, what is the balance on October 1st? Well, the $1175, subtract off the $650 that he paid. That means the balance was $525. The interest is going to be $525 times 0.012 times 1, which is 6.32 or $6.32. So 525 plus 6.32 is 531.32. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on. Feel free to pause if you need to pause that. When additional charges are made during the period, the finance charge on an open-end installment loans or credit cards are generally calculated in one of two ways: the unpaid balance method or the average daily balance method. Unpaid balance method, the borrower is charged interest or a finance charge on the unpaid balance from the previous charge period. So unpaid balance, and this is I think the most typical kind. On September 5th, the billing date, Verna Brown had a balance due of $567.20 on her credit card. The transactions during the following month were September 8th, that's 3 days later, she made a payment. September 21st, which is 13 days later, she made a charge of $330. September 27th, which is another 6 days later, a charge of $190. October 2nd, which is going to be 30 days, so it's 5 days later, a charge of for clothing of $84.75. So find the finance charge due on October 5th using the unpaid balance method. Assume that the interest rate is 1.1% per month. So A, it's going to be based off of the previous month, the interest. The interest is going to be 567.20 times 0.011. That's our interest rate. Times 1 month. That's $6.24. So that's the finance charge. So for the October bill, that finance charge is going to be added on. For B, let's go through the payments. There's $567.20 plus 6.24, that's $6.24 from the finance charge, minus the $275 from that payment. Then we have plus $330 plus $198.80, and then plus $84.75. This gives us a total of $903.99. This would be her new balance due. So it has a previous balance with a finance charge, take away the payment she made, add on the new charges. Now the other technique is the average daily balance method. A balance is determined each day of the billing period for which there is a transaction in the account. So you're looking at each day, how many days is this the balance? How many days is this the balance? I'm going to scroll up, so pause if you need a pause there. Come on, there. The levies credit card statement shows a balance due of $1,578.25 on March 23rd, the billing date. For the period ending April 23rd, they had the following transactions. They charge for party supplies is $79.88. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate the total charges here. And the days. So when we add on the $798 to that balance, we have, I should say total balance. We have $1,658.23, and that was for 3 days. I'll take it back. Do this balance. The balance was $1,578.25 for 3 days. Then it changed. They made this charge. It brought the balance up to $1,658.23, and then the next charge is on the 30th, so that's 4 days. And then they went to the restaurant on the 30th and they bought a meal at $52.76. That's $17.10.99, and that lasts for 4 days. And then they have another charge of $250, or a payment I should say, so that goes down a little bit to $14.60.99. And then that's going to change at, what, 12 days? They make another charge. It goes up to $16.51.51. I'm just adding these numbers on. And then that's the case for 7 days. And then we're going to add this on. The balance goes up to $18.50 or $42.36, and the billing date is going to be the 23rd. So that's for 1 more day. So the first question is find the average daily balance. Okay, so for A, we're going to look at $1578.25 times 3 plus $1658.23 times 4 plus $1710.99 times 4 plus $1460.99 times 12 plus $1651.51 times 7 plus $1842.36 times 1. This 12 goes up here a little more. And all that will be divided by 31 days. Because from March 23rd to April 23rd, 31 days. And this will be 49,146.44 divided by 31 gives us an average daily balance of $1585.37. So for B, find the finance charge. That's going to be $1585.37 times 0.013 times 1. That's $20.61. So find the new balance. It's where we left off up here, 1842.36 plus the 2061, and that's going to give us 1862.97. Now this is a very tedious one because you have to look at the balance number of days at each balance level. Multiply and add, divide by 31, you get that. Now interest is going to be computed on all that because it's the unpaid. Sorry, this is the average daily balance, not the unpaid balance method. Okay, feel free to pause that. We're going to move on. Cash advance. John Richards borrowed $875 against his charge account on September 12th and repaid the loan on October 14th, 32 days later. So the interest rate is 0.04273% per day. How much interest did John pay on the loan? What amount did he pay the bank when he repaid the loan? So for A, it's $875 times 0.000. You got to move it 2 places. 4273 times 32 days. This is the daily rate. 32 days is $11.96. For B, 875 plus 11.92 is 886.96. Feel free to pause. I'm going to move up to the last problem here. Comparing loan options, Sarah Lynn wants to purchase a new television set. The purchase price is $890. If she purchases the set today and pays cash, she must take the money out of her savings account. Another option is to charge the TV on her credit card, take the set home today, and pay next month. Next month, she will have cash and can pay her credit card balance without paying any interest. The simple interest rate on her savings account is 5.25%. How much is she saving by using the credit card instead of taking money out of the bank? Well, the interest she would have lost is $890 for the price of the television times 0.0525. That's the monthly rate in decimal form, times 1 over 12, because it's 1 out of 12 months. Sorry, this is not monthly. This is the annual rate on her savings account. You're never going to find that rate anytime soon. Times 1/12, and that's going to give you $3.89. So she saved $3.89 by using her credit card, and she probably got the miles for it too. Okay, that'll do it for 11.4. So send me your questions when we meet online, and we can work things out. Hope you're having a good day. Bye.